Senator Dianne Feinstein returned to the Senate just yesterday after she had taken months off following a shingles diagnosis. She needed some time to recover. Unfortunately, according to Politico, there was some pretty damning testimony from an anonymous Senate staffer who claims that Feinstein mixed up Senators Tim Scott and Raphael Warnock. Now, this happened in 2021. And it's a little bit of a disaster. So let's get to the details. So the story comes from an excerpt of The Big Break. It's a book, The Gamblers, Party Animals, and True Believers Trying to Win in Washington While America Loses Its Mind. It's by Ben Terrace, and Politico, Politico wrote about a part of that book that recounts this anecdote, okay? So about a year earlier, Feinstein had approached Senator Tim Scott, stuck out her hand, and told him she had been rooting for him and was so happy to have him serving with her in the Senate. Now, of course, Tim Scott is a Republican. Raphael Warnock is not. They're both black, yes. I don't know what to say about this other than this is bad, okay? She should not be in the Senate. She is obviously in mental decline. She has a condition. She couldn't do her job for the last 3 months. And then they wheeled her in yesterday, and it was not a good sight. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, so a couple of things. Look, first, to be fair to Dianne Feinstein, she might have actually been congratulating the Republican because she loves Republicans.
She's done it in the past.
Yeah, and she's a very conservative senator from California. Doesn't make any sense, never made any sense, but the establishment, including establishment media, has been covering for her this entire time. So I actually don't find it implausible that she would thank Tim Scott, who's a very right-wing Republican, right? Secondarily, let's keep it real, there might be another fair reason why she did it, which is ironically super unfair. It might be that she just couldn't tell them apart because she's racist, okay?
Yeah, but we don't.
So look, I don't know. And by the way, I don't know that that means 100% that she is racist. Now, part of the reason why I don't mind bringing it up as a possibility is because Dianne Feinstein did fly the Confederate flag when she was mayor of San Francisco. In San Francisco.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
I didn't even know about that.
Yeah.
What?
No. You know why you don't know about it? Because mainstream media has been protecting her for decades.
She flew the Confederate flag where?
In San Francisco. City Hall. Okay.
What?
I know. This is insane, guys. It's really insane.
Oh my God.
So the debate is, does Dianne Feinstein agree with the Republicans so much she's thanking one of the most radical right-wing senators for winning, which is a legitimate possibility in my mind, or she has no idea who anyone is anymore, and that was 2 years ago. And we told you guys, look, the reality is, which of those two is it? I think it's the one that she's in mental decline. It's not I think, it's definite. Everyone that talks to her says she's in mental decline. She does, when they announced that she was going to retire eventually at the end of her term, she didn't even know it. When the reporters asked her, she's like, oh, I didn't know that.
Oh my God.
It's just, come on, this is humiliating. But look, I am very tough on the media all the time. And I ask the media to actually ask the right questions. In this case, they have finally begun. The thing that I've been saying on air now for a long time is, who's the actual senator from California? Because it's not her, so it's one of her staffers. So even Politico did a story about it, and Ken Klippenstein at The Intercept just started publishing the staffers' names and going, which one is it? Who's the actual senator, okay? So that is a great question and should be asked, because it definitely ain't Dianne Feinstein.
So how did Tim Scott react to that? I actually think the way he responded was incredibly kind, because he didn't correct her or anything. He just kind of went with it. So it was obvious to Scott and the staffers in tow that Feinstein had mistaken the South Carolinian for Raphael Warnock, the newly elected Democratic senator from Georgia. Scott had played along. Thank you so much, he had told Feinstein, according to the staffer who told me about the incident. Your support means a lot. Feinstein's office declined to provide comment for this story. There's another excerpt that Politico made available from the book that I referenced on a phone call with other members of the office. Pearlie had let loose, airing concerns for what felt like 10 minutes. He talked about the coworkers who had touched his hair while he sat at his desk, how the senator hadn't learned his name or spoken to him despite 5 years of service to her, how the chief of staff seemed to be operating as a shadow senator. Okay, the chief of staff operating as a shadow senator since the actual one was, in his opinion, no longer mentally there. And by the way, the reference is to Jamarcus Purley describing his time working in her office.
Yes, so look, the sick thing about this is that the Republicans are not making a big deal out of this because they think, well, we have a lady who can't, a senator who can't participate in a lot of these hearings, which is great for us because it slows down judicial nominations. She can't fight back against us. Plus, she's really conservative. So even when she had a sound mind, she never wanted to fight back against us. This is kind of gold for the Republicans. But why don't the Democrats replace her? It's easy. Governor Newsom would do it. He's a Democrat. It's the easiest thing in the world because they don't want a progressive in there, and they're worried that anyone, by definition, will be more progressive than Dianne Feinstein, because both her, when she was of sound mind, and apparently her chief of staff, who's now the current senator, are both deeply conservative. So they're like, oh, we love that. So they just want to keep a corporate Democrat in there. And by the way, what did the Democrats ever do anyway? Nothing. So they're like, what do we need her for? We don't do anything. So the judicial nominations, some people are a little upset about. So let's pretend that we care about that, but not actually do anything, which is, of course, the route that they have settled on. You wouldn't know about all of this Democratic incompetence and lies and deceit, etc., if we had a functioning press in this country.
I did not know about the Confederate flag like that. That is insane. In California, she's in Northern California too. Anyway, Jesus. Okay, final thing that I have to tell you guys all about. So I mentioned that she returned to the Senate. This is what that looked like. I think this is crazy, and I think a lot of other people agree that people are saying this is crazy. But what's even worse is that even though she was physically back in the Senate yesterday, she still took another day off, and that's relevant, right? Because she is not able to perform her duty as a United States senator. As Manu Raju reported, Dianne Feinstein, who returned to Washington yesterday after recovering from an illness since February, missed the first vote today. Dick Durbin just told me, no, he doesn't know when she will return. I hope she comes back soon. All right.
Okay.
I mean, the Democratic Party, man, is just abysmal and embarrassing. And just, I think they love having, it seems manipulative to me. It seems incredibly manipulative. It's like having a vote they can control. And then Durbin's nonsense about like, we can't ask her to resign because if we ask her to resign, then the Senate Judiciary Committee, we're in a lot of trouble. Promote another Democrat from the Senate to the Senate Judiciary Committee and get the job done. Why is that so difficult?
Yeah, like I said, they don't want to get anything done.
They don't.
And that's the bigger story that no one's talking about because they're all pretending in Washington that the Democrats have done so much in Biden's term. One last thing, just to clarify on the Confederate flag, she didn't decide to just put up just the Confederate flag by herself for fun. They put up the flags of American history, and it would get taken down every once in a while because people are super mad that this Confederate flag is flying in City Hall in San Francisco. And every time she would replace it with a new Confederate flag, and they were like, "Please stop replacing the Confederate flag." And she didn't. She kept replacing it. So I'm giving you the full context so you know the full story. And then the media pretended all these years that she's a progressive. When she's never, ever voted that way. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.